Johnny Depp took to the stand the other day to testify on behalf of himself for this massive $50 million defamation trial against his ex-wife Amber Heard. In doing so, the general public learned a lot about Depp's unfortunate dark past. Before we dive into that dark past though, we need to talk about Depp claiming in court that he never laid a hand on Amber Heard. Depp called Heard's allegations against him quite heinous and disturbing. He also stated that the claims Heard made 6 years ago are not based in any species of truth. He went on to say, "Through the relationship, there were arguments and things of that nature, but never did I myself reach to the point of striking Miss Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman in my life. It was a complete shock that it would, it just didn't need to go in that direction." He then reflected on how the news of Amber's accusations permeated the industry and made its way through social media on a global level. He adds, "Since I knew there was no truth to it whatsoever, I felt it was my responsibility to stand up for myself, not only in that instance, but to stand up for my children, who at the time were 14 and 16, so they were in high school. I thought it was diabolical that my children would have to go to school and have their friends or people in the school approach them with the infamous People magazine cover with Miss Heard with a dark bruise on her face." The accusations and overall scandal regarding Depp continue to grow as more news outlets picked it up, and with the contrasting stories between Depp and Heard, it made things difficult for the general public to determine who exactly was at fault here. Depp went on to say, "So it was my responsibility, I felt, to not only attempt to clear my name for the sake of many reasons, but I wanted to clear my children of this horrid thing that they were having to read about their father, which was untrue." Not only that, but Depp also had to think about clearing his name amongst the people that he had befriended and given advice to during his 35 years in the entertainment industry. And he finally got his chance to do that when taking the stand. Despite the truth being quite exposing for not only him and his family, Depp stated that his goal is the truth and that he has become obsessed with it. He added, "My goal is the truth because it killed me that the people I'd spoken to over the years, all I could think was that those people would think that I was a fraud and that I had lied to them. And so I had to wait for my opportunity to address the charges, which were criminal charges, and they just weren't true. I felt the responsibility of clearing the record as the only way I could get to the point where I could speak. I didn't deserve that, nor did my children, nor did the people who believed in me for all these years. I didn't want any of those people to believe I'd done them wrong, lied to them, or was a fraud." Another big point of discussion in this case is Johnny Depp's childhood and his entry into becoming a movie star, specifically the terrible way that his own mother had treated him as a child. Depp recounted his mother saying to him, "She would call me cockeye, one-eye, anything she could to demean, to humiliate. The verbal abuse, the psychological abuse was almost worse than the beatings. The beatings were just physical pain, and physical pain you learn to deal with. You learn to accept it, you learn to deal with it. But the psychological and emotional abuse, that's what kind of tore us up, I think." If you didn't know, Johnny Depp is nearly blind in one eye, and so his mother would often use that against him during arguments. Now, a lot of people though wanted to know why Depp would stay with Amber if she was in fact hitting him on the regular, and in response to that he said, "I stayed, I suppose, because my father stayed. I suppose because I had been in that relationship with Vanessa Paradis that was lost. I didn't want to fail. I wanted to try to make it work. I thought maybe I could help her. I thought maybe I could bring her around. The Amber Heard that I knew for the first year and a half was not this. Opponent. It wasn't my girl. She'd become my opponent. Everything I did, she didn't accept it. I stayed because, of course, I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to hurt anyone, especially Miss Heard. I didn't want to break her heart." He also added that in addition to that, Amber would often threaten to take her own life if he were to leave. He goes on to say, "Many times when I would try to leave, she would stop me at the elevator with the security guards crying and screaming, 'I can't live without you, I'm gonna die.' She had to get out." Depp also alleged that on a number of occasions he would finally manage to escape, but that she would inevitably arrive in front of his house screaming to the high heavens in the car park, sometimes in the early hours of the morning. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this though, because that's all the time we have for today. So stay classy, and I'll see you in the next one.